mic's on. My mic's on. Can you hear me?
All right, because I got my camera too going.
But that first session was really good. And, part of the business cycle is marketing is more or less where things start, or it's a good starting point when you talk about a process. So marketing, then we get into sales, and then we'll get into the leadership and all that team management and collaboration, all those sorts of things as we move into the end of today, which is around the business side things and how to grow the business itself. Once all this starts working, then managing the business growth is the fourth session. But it looks like everyone's logging in, which is awesome. So as a quick introduction, welcome from all the system 1357 partners. Thanks everyone for coming again. This is session 2, and we focus on this session around sales, which is, like I said, the natural progression. So you're getting some inquiries, you've done some marketing, you've done some social media. Now what? How do I actually get paid for all my effort and energy? So this is where the magic actually happens. We start to get paid. And a lot of people get scared of the money question. So how much is it? And things like that, which is natural, right? But this is where the business end actually happens. And you've got to start getting paid for what you're doing. So this is going to be really exciting. And obviously it's one of my favorite subjects. So I'll try not to get involved too much and let you three deliver I've got a couple of your topics and they're all excellent. So welcome everyone. A quick introduction around the room. So we've got a bit of a US flavor on this one. So we've got Erika. She's from over the USA around Dallas. Chicago with Bryan Mcdonald. 2 sales experts. I've been following your content for a long time. I actually was on your podcast about 2.5 years ago, Bryan. And I certainly relate to everything you guys talk about. And you're kicking some really good goals over there, Erika, as well, and some of those sales. But I've got the Bryan story there going back, the podcast when I went on that, On Purpose Growth, totally related to it. And Maree and I, 2.5 years ago, we were both panelists in a real live, non-Zoom.
Old school.
Yeah, old school. We used to do that. That was almost like the turn of the century now. It was so long ago. But that was a couple of years ago. We were both panelists in a real session and a business development session there in Sydney. So that's how we first met. And Maree's a sales expert. I heard her talk for her session and certainly on top of her game as well. So that's a quick introduction around the sales, where everyone's from. In the show notes and the after emails, we'll be emailing out everyone's details, or go and follow them, as I said. Have a look at their profile and stuff like that. So a bit of housekeeping. There's a chat. By all means, chat amongst yourselves. Go for it. There is a Q&A. So any specific questions and answers that you want to do, jump into the Q&A, and we will address all of those that we can at the end, and spend 15 minutes on the definite Q&A to help you all out for attending as our way of saying thanks. We definitely want to make sure we answer the questions as best as we can. But as around the room goes, so the first person would like to give their tip. Any volunteers on the first person?
Yeah, I'll go if nobody minds. Awesome. What I kind of wanted to talk about is turbocharging your sales by unlocking who your best client avatar is, because the marketing group gave some outstanding tips on marketing. And part of that first is you've got to know who your ideal client is, who I call the avatar. Because if you don't know that and you start crafting your message, you're going to end up with a sales pipeline full of hopium. And if you don't know what hopium is, that's basically hundreds and hundreds of people in your pipeline, and they're never going to buy with you because they're not the right avatar. So is this something that you can relate to, Scotty? Because I'm going to just bull charge my way through. Okay. So some of the things that you have to know in isolating your avatar is really getting that demographic snapshot of who this person is going to be. You need to know what they look like, what blog posts they visit, who do they resonate with, what LinkedIn groups are they in, because if somebody's all about the Gary Vee, maybe they're in IT, or media, and then somebody else is about Brendan Burchard, right there, you've got 2 tips on how you're going to do copywriting. And I'll get into copywriting a little bit later. But having that crystal clear vision of who you're talking to. Are you talking to the right decision makers? Are these the people who are going to buy? So you've got to go deep into your vertical, and then you have to isolate the core themes that surround your avatar. Things like speaking to their story before they've met you, their pain points, their desires, their whatever, and then speaking to their story after they've met you. And you've said, here you go, here's your solution, love me. You really want to make it be about them, because they really are about their own terrestrial magnificence. They don't care about your terrestrial magnificence. And what do we see on LinkedIn with people who are prospecting? It's all me, my, I, it's Toby Keith. It's nothing about, here's what I can do for you. Period. End of story. It's all about them. So you really want to use that building of expert affinity with your about us, but you really make it about them. It's never really about you. And then knowing what your high value solution is that your avatar is going to pay for. You know, it's the one thing that your avatar must believe, and then being proactive and knowing what are the 3 top objections that will prevent them from believing that. Did I hit 3 minutes? Because I was trying hard.
You salespeople, you're all the same.
Yeah. We don't do well with time limits of 3 minutes, Scotty. Come on.
Yeah, my radio brain kicked in and it was timing 3 minutes as I was talking.
Yeah, no, look, the avatar and having that focus is important because it ties into, like you said, with the marketing and what the message is, and knowing if you're talking to the right people at the right time. So yeah, I'm all for the avatar. You know, at the turn of the century, we didn't have the term avatar client. You know, it's something that's new, but nothing's ever changed. You know, hitting the target market. If you're going to go talk to someone, you might as well talk to someone who's the right person to talk to.
Yeah, and a lot of times you've got to isolate, you know, where are the places they're visiting? What are the keywords that they're trying to search for? What groups do they belong to? And I think people really need to stop guessing, you know, about who their avatar is and really spend some focused research and introspection, you know, because if you can solve the disappointment that they are receiving online, the close is that much easier, because eventually you will get through, you know, a discovery call, and they will close before you get to the close because you're speaking to the right person.
And that probably dovetails into yours, Bryan, your first tip.
Yeah, I love what Erika talks about. It's, you know, speaking my language. And for me, the importance of understanding this ideal client profile, or this avatar, if you will, is gives you the ability to spend more time with the right people and less time with the wrong people. As Erika was saying, you know, you need to be able to identify who these people are as fast as possible. And for my own use, I've developed this in a way that, you know, in the best situation, I can tell on an initial intro call if I'm talking to an ideal client profile or not. And I'm able to speak it to them and have a conversation in a way that talks about what I do and with this ideal client profile, where they can raise their hand and say, hey, yeah, that's me, or say, no, Bryan, that's actually not me. And hearing no, that's not me, and knowing it's not, is as valuable as meeting with somebody and seeing, hey, this is the person, the right person, and moving forward, you know, with that ideal client profile. And this is what I found through years is typically people only figure out half of that. One, they figure out who the ideal client profile is. And my suggestion for everybody is to round that thinking out, figure out who it is not, be able to distinct who it isn't, so you can see it. Because when I didn't have it developed this much, I actually found myself getting stuck in conversations with people who look like prospects, but as we went down the sales process and through the stages, it became very evident that I was not talking to an ideal client profile, and I can't get that. None of us can get that time back. So this is about really generating a client profile, having clarity on that, so you can utilize an effective sales system. An effective sales system doesn't have, I think you said it, a bunch of hopium in it. I think, Erika, where you don't have people that are just filling your sales system to fill your sales system, because they're just going to take up a lot of space time and energy that your ideal client profile should be taking up on. So I encourage everybody to round out their ideal client profile and avatar. Same thing. I keep using, that's my terminology, same thing, avatar, and turning it into an effective way to run a sales system.
Yes. I wanted to add on to what you were saying, Bryan, to give the folks out there some numbers and of how, because we do get how painful this is for you. But recently in my sales career, I was in a place where, unbeknownst to me, my avatar was not right. I was told it was right, but it wasn't right. And I'm the closer, I'm the cleaner, I'm the fixer. And for 2.5 months, I didn't have one sale. And it wasn't me, because everybody I was talking to was like, we love you. We love your message. Oh my gosh, if we just only needed this service. And that's how you know you're not the right avatar. Well, once we dialed in the avatar and figured it out, in my next 2 months, I broke company records, literally brought in 1/3 of the clients that the company ever had in the next 2 months. So that's what can happen for you when you dial in that avatar.
Cool. I think I'll throw my 5 cents in as well. I feel like once you've nailed that avatar and you've got those continuous incoming inquiries and things like that, I think it's really important to then make sure that you have a streamlined, efficient, repeatable sales process that then works people through your business as well. I see a lot of people these days that come to me and say, oh, Maree, I need more leads, or I need more inquiries and things like that, which is all great, right? But when you actually look at their database and their assets and things like that, they've got the leads there, they're just not converting them. So once you've got those ideal people into your business and they've inquired with you, for me, it's about how do we put that sales system into a process and into a business that is tailored to your business, tailored to your products, tailored to your ideal target market. I call it target market. I don't know if it's an Aussie thing or what, but avatar, target market, same but different. And so for me, it's like, if we're not converting that target market, then there's no money. And if there's no money, then what are we here for? Even charities need to make money, right? Like I say to people, you're not a charity, but even charities are calling out for people to donate and things like that as well. And I feel like over the past 12 months with the pandemic and everything that's been going on, a lot of business owners have realized that maybe their sales system doesn't even exist, or it's not converting the way that it needs to. And they've gone into this, oh darn moment, what do I need to do? They think that they need leads, but when we've actually sat down and assessed it, they actually need a really high converting sales process. So for me, it's about making sure that every single business, for all the people online that are listening to this, make sure you have a sales process within your business that is predictable, that is repeatable, that you are building an asset in your business. So it's not just about having a Facebook page or having Instagram or LinkedIn. And I know Kath spoke about this in the last session, making sure that we're actually pulling people into an asset that we own, that we can control, that if we are Donald Trump and our Twitter feed gets closed down or whatever, that we still have access to our ideal target market. So that's one of my biggest tips, is make sure that you've got that sales system within your business, and make sure that you're not just a hunter that's out there looking for more leads, that you're actually nurturing the ones that you've got, because it's going to be a lot more time effective, it's going to be a lot more cost effective for you, and you know that you're already talking to the right people as well. So that for me is quite huge. Understand your potential clients and then what they need, and then look at the product rather than just pushing the product from a sales perspective.
You made a very, very important distinction that could come up in the frequently asked questions at the end. So for the folks out there, the audience out there, if you're listening, Maree was talking about both. You, on your avatar, knowing what you're doing with inbound leads, your fish attracting device, as Scotty calls it, and that could be a podcast, it could be a lead magnet, it could be anything, but it needs to be focused toward a buyer and not somebody who's just going to read the blog on the website. And then also, if you are the hunter, like I am, knowing what that avatar is for your outbound. Because when you craft that sales message to whatever it is, your LinkedIn, outreach or, if you're going door to door, if you're making phone calls, that first initial contact, you've got to know who you're speaking to and what's going to kind of push their buttons. I hate saying that because it sounds so malignantly narcissistic, but you have to know how to resonate with these people.
Yeah, absolutely. And I also think that a lot of old school sales think about, how do I actually just sell? How do I sell? How do I sell? And I think people are so over being sold to these days that we need to look at how do we actually help and connect and serve these people, rather than just, hey, here's this product or service that I've got. You're my ideal target market. Pay me money. It just doesn't work like that anymore. It's a really, really uncomfortable and icky way to sell. And I think it's a really bad way to do business too. So yeah, absolutely.
It is. And I don't know if this is a good time to segue, but this kind of speaks to copywriting and the creating value. And I think a lot of people don't understand. You have one question to answer, either as a marketer or as a salesperson or a CRO or a chief sales officer or a sales manager. And that one question really is, what does your customer already know? Period. Because from a copywriting standpoint, there's 5 levels of awareness that your avatar is going to have. They are going to have all the way, and I'm sorry if I'm reverse image because I'm about to go left brain, right brain. They can go all the way from they know they've got a desire, they know they've got a problem, they know about you. In which case your message can be really, really direct, and boom, from your headline, you could be talking about the product. Or they could be all the way at the other end of the spectrum of, they don't even know they have a problem. They don't even know they have a desire. And now you're having to speak to problem, solution, need, desire. Your message is crafted more that way. So the one question you really have to ask from a copywriting standpoint to be able to narrow down that headline and get right to the benefit, because you've got all of 3 seconds to do it, is, what does your customer already know? And where on the 5 stages of awareness are they?
Yeah. I think that also comes down to, so I talk a lot about in like one of the elements in a sales process and system within a business is understanding also where people are at. Like, have they already tried to solve their problem 500 times and spent tens of thousands of dollars doing it? And if they have, we need to understand what that experience has been like, what worked, what didn't work, and why have they still not had that solution brought forward for them. So I think that's absolutely perfect. I think there's 2 sides of that coin of understanding exactly where they are. So making sure we're qualifying them. And a lot of the time, the sale is either made or lost when it comes to that, what I call the discover and uncover where they're at, what they want, why they want it, how they want it or how they need it delivered. I know Kath was also talking about in her marketing, from a marketing point of view, there's people that are going to read blog posts, and there's people that are going to need to listen to stuff, and there's people that are going to watch videos and things like that. It's the same with delivering your product or service. There are going to be some people that need their hand held a whole heap more. And then there's going to be other people that are just like, tell me what I need to do. Give me the facts. Let's just go out and do it. So I think that that's really, really important as well. And if we don't nail that discover and uncover process in that sales strategy or sales process within your business, a lot of money is left on the table in that aspect too. So, yeah.
I appreciate you guys sharing this. And I just want to call out to everybody listening and watching is understand that everything that's being communicated to you right now starts with the customer first. It starts with, as they say, the end in mind, if you will. Yeah. Getting the reason why you can create effective copy and or create an effective sales system is because you understand very clearly the ideal client profile, the avatar, the target market, all those synonymous words. in my business, I didn't come up with this, my partner Jeff did, but he talks about the process of the client and the voice of the customer. So process of the customer, voice of the customer, those two, that's where we start. And those two things have nothing to do with the thing that we sell or the thing that we do for clients. It starts with them. You know, the way the human mind works is we're selfish, if you will. I don't know a better term for it, but we're constantly thinking about ourselves.
Yeah.
We're constantly thinking about ourselves. And when you're thinking about sales, when you're thinking about marketing, you have to put that aside and you have to put the customer first, because realize they're thinking about themselves. They're thinking about what their problem is. I tell clients all the time that prospects and clients don't buy the thing that you sell. They buy the help that they're looking for.
Yeah.
And so, you know, if you're going to build effective copy, like Erika's talking about, you're understanding that. You're understanding exactly where they're at. You're also understanding who your ideal client profile is not. I've built sales pages, marketing that says, this is who this is not for. So I'm not only trying to communicate like, hey, if you're this, walk away, but it's also ingraining into the ideal client profile. Yeah, this person realizes that I don't want that's not me and that's not me. They're really understanding who I am, or already understand who I am. So I would encourage you to start with the customer in mind. And it does sound easier than it actually is, because our mind just goes right to, well, what can I sell them? How can I sell them? And how much money I can make? I mean, it's natural, but it's a transition we all need to take, because like Maree said, prospects and customers are smarter. Not that they weren't ever. They approach buying in a different way. And we need to adjust to that. Old sales tactics no longer work.
No. And I think the other thing that you also mentioned, Bryan, was that, you know, talking about what people are, you know, what's in it for them and things like that. There is so much free content out there in the world, right? Like you can YouTube pretty much anything to find out anything there is to know about business, life, whatever. What people actually pay for a lot of the time is, you're right, that help, that understanding, making it specific to them, knowing that they're going to get their hand held specifically in the way that they need it. And if we're not, as business owners, if we're not digging into what that is that they need, we're missing the mark. And I feel like so many people, especially as I mentioned before, around the COVID stuff and everything that's been, you know, a lot of businesses that have struggled in that aspect, it's always been about the product, and they've really missed that. What's the customer service experience like? What are we doing once someone's actually bought from us? Are we taking the money and then saying, well, thanks so much, I'll service you, but kind of half-assed? Or do they buy from us once and then we just leave them alone? Or is there ways that we can really nurture and look after those customers more, so that they come back and they're repeat buyers, and that there's, you know, maybe another step in their journey through that customer journey path? I talk a lot about that in the work that I do. Like, perfect example, I've been working with Bridgestone, who's a, for those that may not know, I don't know where people are from all around the world, but you know, they do tires and cars and automotive type stuff. And it's not just about coming in and buying tires off someone. It's about the safety of their family in this vehicle. It's about trusting someone. It's about understanding this investment that they've put into a car and how they can make it work effectively, so that those people come back and they're repeat buyers, and we're filling our business with people that we want to work with, customers that we love, people that light us up. They're not just, as I say, tire kickers from a Bridgestone perspective. They're not just looking for the cheapest option. They're looking for that connected understanding. People get what we need and we're well looked after. And I think that that's really, really important, especially in a world that we're becoming with so much more technology, there's so much more potential to disconnect. So dig in and connect with every customer that comes along your way. And if you are selling things like high ticket items, or you want to be selling high ticket items, you need to really understand what it is that they need, how they need it, why they need it, and how you can tailor your product or your service specific to them. No one's interested in cookie cutter crap anymore. It just doesn't work. And it leaves bad taste in your mouth, and it ruins branding and experience and all that sort of stuff as well. So I think that that's really, really important. What's in it for them always. Sorry, I've just gone on a rant and everyone's gone quiet.
That was awesome. That was awesome.
I get very passionate about this sort of stuff. I feel like, and the reason why I am so passionate about sales is because sales can literally make or break a business. And when we're dealing with businesses, whether they're small or large, there's still humans in this business. They've still got passions, desires, dreams, goals. And I feel like if we can get them selling and understanding their customers better, then it can't help but improve an overall experience in a more global, state. If everyone was happier, then the world would be a much different place. So yeah, that's why I get
I really think I really think if you haven't realized yet, the world is moving very quickly, and in large portion already there, to client-centric situations, meaning like prospects and clients want you to be client-centric. They are very few, in my opinion, are putting product and the thing that you sell over you being client-centric. They want you to understand, they want you to care, and they want you to be able to make an impact. And the quicker we realize that we're in a client-centric world, the bigger the gap we are going to create between us and the people who don't care about that. We're moving quickly in that direction.
But I feel like that also goes before the sale as well as after the sale. Because the other thing is, right, like when it comes to sales and marketing, and I know that they're joint, very hand in hand, and I've had many debates with marketers about what's more important, sales or marketing. But I feel like if you nail your sales process and that customer experience, the referrals that come in, I don't do a whole heap of marketing. The idea of, typing out social media posts and copy and all that sort of stuff isn't what lights me up. I love talking to people. I love doing this sort of stuff, things like that. But a lot of my business comes from referrals, which means that the buyer's resistance is already down. They've already got some form of knowledge about me. And I feel like once we understand that sale doesn't just finish once money's handed over or once the project's finished, touch base with your clients, see what they're up to 6-12 months later. Have a beautiful follow-up process within your business, not just for the people that didn't buy from you, but from the people that have bought from you and that have maybe been using your product or service down the track. Like I've had clients that I set up a sales system within their business, and then 2 years later, they're tripling their turnover. I'm still connecting with those people because for me, they're like my little branding people. They're my little raving fans that are out there. They're referring people to me. They're really important as well. So it's not just about getting the money and the sale through the door at the start. It's about making sure that we are looking after our customers on all aspects. So
and I want to stress what she's saying here, because the greatest data, the most valuable data point that you can have about understanding your ideal client profile, your avatar, and what that wants and what that profile wants is your current and past clients. I spent a lot of time interviewing them. I spent the month of December and a little into January recording 30-minute interview / testimonial recordings for one of my clients. He does EOS implementation. He's a management consultant, and I'm helping him create marketing and sales materials plus improving his service. So all we did was go back to a handful of his clients, ask him some questions about how they were, what was going on with them prior to meeting my client, what they were trying to achieve, what they were trying to get over. I mean, we've got a ton of data from the ideal client profile that we're just going to take out of these recordings and turn it into sales material. I mean, it's literally going to be their words. And at the end, we collected testimonials. So it was a great exercise for him to get what he wanted.
Yeah, that's awesome. Hey, I mean, I love the sales subject, but you guys all certainly know your stuff. It's been proven time and time again. So as a recap, we'll move into the Q&A. It's been 30 odd minutes. Yeah, we're running on schedule, so we're right on time. Well done for a bunch of salespeople.
Yeah, right. First time ever.
Somebody slow me down. Anyway, so a quick recap on your 2 tips. Each, who started? Who was first? I think it was Erika. So your 2 tips, and then we'll run around.
Yeah, my 2 tips was basically getting dialed into your avatar for the most part, because nothing else, if you're not dialed into the right person, it doesn't matter about anything else. You won't really have an ability to market thoroughly. You won't really have a solid pipeline with which to go back to. You won't really have referrals that you can go back to. So it kind of starts with knowing your copywriting, which was my second tip. Knowing what your customer already knows, doing that deep dive on where does your avatar visit? Do you have the niche nailed down, the vertical nailed down? Do you have the right decision maker? And crafting your message in a way that, I call it the forgotten trifecta to strategic growth. When you overhaul that current system, using the hat trick of, I use outbound sales, but any sales and digital marketing and copywriting, you're going to nail down that avatar. You're going to move straight through gatekeepers with ease. You're going to get direct access to basically high-level B2B decision makers. You're going to see the sales cycle shorten if you do all of these, plus what Bryan and Maree are saying, and you're going to watch your recurring revenue grow, and it's going to happen without fail every single time. So those are my 2 tips.
Who was second? I can't remember anymore.
I think it was Bryan.
Oh, okay. I'll go. So,
Okay.
All right. So, for me, it's just a clarification and extension of what Eric was saying is when you have that ideal client profile, it helps you set boundaries, use your time more effectively, and spend more time with the right people and less time with the wrong people. And those 2 things that I just said are very important for an effective sales system.
Cool. And my 2 tips, I know I've covered kind of random bits and pieces, but first of all is make sure that you've got a sales system within your business that is repeatable, predictable. You can hand it over to other team members. You can coach other new team members coming on board, things like that, and understand in that sales process what your potential clients' needs and wants are without just about, it's not just about pushing your product. And then my second tip, which I kind of touched on, was I want people to understand that there are a couple of top key elements in an effective sales process to increase your conversion, your customer experience, and have those people coming back. You want to make sure that you're capturing every single lead that comes through your business in a way that you own. So into a database, into a CRM, into some form of nurturing system that you can look after people. You can put notes in if someone comes back to you 2 years later and you don't need to remember everything about them, but there's something in there that allows you to capture those leads through your business. Then the other, another key element is that you want to be able to connect with your audience. So find ways that your audience needs to be connected with. Care about them. If you don't care about the clients you're working with, they're not the right clients for you. Change it. You can always tell when a business owner, for me, I feel like I can always tell when a business owner has fallen out of love with their business and they're just chasing the coin, and it's really disconnecting. So understand, how we need to connect with your audience. Then one of the most important key elements in that sales process is the discover and uncover phase, which a lot of people call the qualification. This is where the sale is either lost or made. A lot of really good quality questions in there, understanding where they're at, what they want to be doing, and then understand how you can bridge the gap from where they are to where they want to be and how your product solves the problem. And then, you know, look at ways to package up your products or services and ways to talk about your prices. And then one of the other key things that a lot of people forget is to invite people into your business. Actually asking for that sale in a, not just, can I have your credit card, but, you know, does that sound like something you're interested in? Do you want to work together? Do you see us working together? Is there something that I've missed that you feel like you need that isn't in, you know, hasn't been mentioned, or things like that within your business? And then always make sure that you have follow-up. And that's not just about from the people that didn't buy from you, but from the people that have bought from you, your customers, your future, your past customers, and really how you can keep them engaged and create a raving fan out of them. So they're my 2 top tips.
You know, it's funny, we talk about funnels nowadays. You know, everyone's heard the term funnels. It wasn't something we had at the turn of the century, right? For all us old people, there was no such thing as a funnel in the early days. But we know funnels. Everyone's heard of funnels, which is excellent. But, you know, there's a really wide funnel at the top, which is you got all your marketing in it. And down the bottom spits out clients, right? And I like that word. They're not sales, they're clients. You know, so down the bottom. So you can either have a really wide funnel and only a few clients, or you can have a really tight funnel, which is, you know, got a lot of clients. And the difference in the middle is your ability to be able to have those conversations with people that lead to clients. And that's the bit in the middle. And I think you've all said the same thing. And it's your effectiveness. You can either spend a lot of time with a lot of people to get a few results, or you can a smaller amount of time with less people to get more results. And that's where sales comes into it. And everything you've all said, like, you're just speaking my language, just love it, love it, love it. Because, you know, the reality is I did very little marketing at Renet. And my number one reason when people say, well, you know, what did I do? It wasn't my programming ability either. It was my ability to have a conversation with people and get clients that made Renet a successful company, not the marketing. And that's the difference. So music to my ears. A couple of good questions over here. So they're all really good tips. We will share some of those tips again, and people obviously can go and look at more as we share the show notes and some emails afterwards. But Ben's gone, how do we break down the silos? Wow. I think he says silos between sales and marketing, and getting everyone to understand that the end goal is to add value to the client. So how do we break down the silos between sales and marketing? Anyone want to jump in and help answer that one for everyone?
Go, Erika. I feel like you're in there.
Yeah, you know, for me, because that is oftentimes what I'm having to do. And I was always coming at it from a sales perspective. And because I have my copywriting background, oftentimes marketing viewed me as a threat, especially when I would say, all right, fine, split test us. I'll outperform you. I'll outrun circles around you. You know, and it was only then that anybody would take what I had to say seriously. Now that I'm off on my own, I can't really take that approach. I have to be a little more subtle than that. And so it really does become, all right, well, now you got to discover how marketing is your avatar, you know, if you're in that sales, you know, cycle, and explain basically, well, help me understand your process. Help me understand what your end goal is. And then, if I may, let me show you how it affects sales. And then once you get that conversation going, saying, may I suggest, this is what I have seen work for me when I do it this way. And let me show you the numbers to back that up. I think when everybody approaches it from a level of humility and understanding it's not about anybody's terrestrial magnificence, let's work on this together. It fosters the communication to go forward. If one approaches it from help me understand and let's brainstorm this together.
Yeah. Can I just say one thing? I break it into real simple silos because I've never really had a marketing division, but I still see it as the cold, the warm, and the hot zones. So I never had it as silos, but everyone in the cold zone, I treated like they were cold. You know, we're not having a sales conversation. We're having just a general conversation to get them into the warm zone, where I have a different conversation with them about becoming a client, which means they're in the hot zone. They're a client. So that's how I siloed them out. Ben was just thinking laterally about, well, who's in the cold zone and how do I talk to those people, you know, with all your writing and marketing and so on. So what do I do and how do I talk to people in the warm zone to ultimately funnel them back into being a client? And yeah, so that's how I siloed them down. You were going to say something, Maree?
Yeah, so what I find really interesting is a lot of people want to split the sales and the marketing stuff really down the line. And I'm a bit like Scotty as well. So yeah, there's people that are going to be cold, warm, and hot in your business. But for me, it's that sales process starts as soon as you start marketing. And so for me, it's like find some cornerstones of content, things that keep coming up with your clients. So for me, it's about people saying that they don't have enough leads or they don't have enough clients. How do I get more leads within my business? Great, let's look at the leads we've already got. Are we looking after the leads we've already got, or are we just trying to fill up our mailing list or our databases with more cold leads? Like, so kind of go back and see who are the people that we've dealt with before. If you've never made a sale in your business, that's okay as well. Like, you've got to start somewhere. But I would kind of question why we're trying to break down the sales and marketing really separately. Unless you have two separate divisions within your business, then obviously they need to be broken down. But for a lot of small business owners and for a lot of business owners, we're all kind of wearing similar hats, and the sales and marketing team need to work really closely together. And they're still trying to do the same thing. We're still trying to solve people's problems and challenges and things like that. So if the end goal is to add value to that client, understand what value that they feel like that they need. They may feel like that they need more leads. And if I keep saying to them, you just need a sales process, and I'm not talking to them by answering their, well, I feel like I need more leads, then we're going to have a bit of a disconnect. So understand what they feel like the problem is, and understand as an expert in your industry and from your expertise, what is that real problem? And you need to be talking to what they think the problem is, and then solving the solution based around your expertise in that field as well. Does that make sense?
We've got a few minutes to go, so we'll jump on to the next one. So for KPI purposes, any suggestions on how to collect the data showing how having a win-win mindset and caring about the people you're selling to has a direct impact on the bottom line? So for KPI purposes, anyone big on the KPIs?
I love KPIs.
Yeah, I love KPIs, and I have a modification to the answer. It's not directly KPI, if I can share, Scotty. So, inevitably, there are what I'll call a psychographic profile of a client that we like working with and we produce results with. And that's how I define a win-win, right? A win-win. And invariably, when I'm working with clients, especially new, when they come on board, we go through their sales pipeline, and I have them explain why that person should still be a client. And this isn't about bad people or not. This is about them saying, yeah, I can produce a result with that person, and I like working with them. And when you have a client base full of people that you can articulate that about, then I think you have the win-win that you're looking for. And like for me, there's a demographic, right? So for me, it's entrepreneurs who honed a skill in corporate America and then left to sell small and medium-sized businesses. That's the demographic. The psychographic is they're humble and hungry. They're action takers. They're in good moods. They're willing to learn. I can tell that they can trust me. There's all these psychographic things that say, this is going to be a good client for me and for them. So I'm going to go back to what we've been talking about, is get a really, really deep understanding of the ideal client profile that you like working with and you produce results with, and start measuring how many of those you have, because when you have a lot of those, or that's all that's representing your client base, the results are in the revenue. The results will be plainly in the revenue. And that's the KPI that I would use.
Well done. Yeah, actually, Erika, you might get you to answer the last one because we're going to run out of time otherwise. So, Erika, The last question is that we'll do before we got to wrap up. How do you seek new clients in a COVID environment? I think this is a great question too, by the way. And you've kicked some really good goals in the last 6 months because we've had other conversations. So I know you're kicking goals in a COVID environment. So how do you seek new clients in the COVID environment? And you've got like a minute or two.
I got a minute or two. Okay. I want to just, I wanted to go back and just say something real quick to Ben, real quick to Anonymous, and then hit up Sabina. Ben, in terms of marketing and sales, I find that the one thing, and now that I see your question visually, is really getting both to brainstorm on the so what. Oftentimes marketing will focus on all the features and advantages, but never the benefits that sales wants to show the value to the client. So anytime you see marketing and you're like, okay, that's a feature, that's an advantage, you've got to keep asking the question, so what? And eventually you will get to the benefit, and then you'll have something that will give value to the client. To Anonymous, I would say for KPIs, if you want to measure that win-win mindset, sometimes the best is some software. I think it's chorus.io or chorus.ai will literally record your sales calls, and it will measure your conversation, like the percentage of time you were listening, the percentage of time you use these kinds of words, the percentage of time that your prospect was doing whatever. And it actually measures all that to show you, here's where you can improve in these discovery calls. Sabina, how to seek new clients in the COVID environment. You know, I'm getting ready to put out a 3-part video series on a virtual sales blueprint, and how do you succeed in virtual sales in any vertical. And part of that in getting past and going straight to the B2B decision maker is, for me, it's through LinkedIn. And we can talk about that in way more detail, but I don't spam in the DMs. When I do my prospecting, when I do my outreach, when I do use my fish attracting device, I am providing nothing but value up front. I never have an ask. There will never, ever, ever be an ask. So I do sniper fire where I can in the DMs, providing nothing but value in how to solve things. And then my scattered buckshot is my organic posting.
Yeah.
Good. Excellent. Because you can still seek new clients in the COVID environment, and lots of people are.
In fact, that's where all my business comes from.
Someone asked me once, does all the things I did, 20 years ago still work today? And I went, well, absolutely. Nothing's really changed. In fact, it's even easier now than it's ever been. So the principles don't change. The good news about sales is once you learn and understand all these things, they're there forever. It's nothing's changed in sales. It's about that human connection, those conversations, and treating people like clients rather than a sale or a number. And you've all said it in your own ways, and it's absolutely true and perfect. So such a good session. But we'll have to wrap it up, even though I can talk about sales for the next 10 years. We've got to sort of stick to this time limit. So, but the next session is about the next phase, right? So now it's leadership, and you've got to start leading your clients. You've got to start, building those environments and those teams and producing all these products that you're selling and services, whether you're selling a $4 coffee down the street or you're selling $1 million machinery in the mines or whatever it is. It's the same thing. What's next? It's that environment that you create and that you become a part of as a leader. So we're moving into a bit of the leadership next. But watch some of the videos, go and follow up on what Erika, Bryan, and Maree have got on their own sites and their own contents. Look at their channels, find out what they've got, and go dive into a bit deeper about all their content. Erika's got a course on avatar client and literally how to find and dive into your avatar client. There's a course on System 1357 just for you if that's what you want to do. And both Bryan and Maree said the same thing as well. We didn't call it avatar clients in the old days, but hey, it doesn't really matter. The principle is know who your prospects are and go and find those people to talk to. Simple. But yeah, follow all these guys. Reach out to them. If you need any more help, look, after this, certainly reach out and find out and book a session with them to do a bit more. But that's about it for the sales session. We'll move into the leadership session. We'll wrap up this one. I'll log out, put that recording away for the purposes of sharing it again later on. The other panelists, you'll be able to log in a couple of seconds. I'll just regenerate the session again, and we'll all log back in. Otherwise, we'll see you all in the next one in about 10 minutes time. So you'll all need to log back in again. Thanks for that, Maree, Bryan, and Erika. Very appreciative. And I think looking at the chat, the activity there, man, it was such a stimulating session. So well done, everyone.
Awesome. Thanks for having me, Scotty. Thanks, everyone.
Bye.
Thank you, everyone.